please.
It is 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you all please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is roll call. All board directors and our student director are present this evening. Next up, we will have open forum. And in accordance with Board Policy 203, a 15-minute period is set aside to receive citizen input through this open forum segment of the board agenda. Sign-up sheets are available at least 10 minutes prior to the meeting time at the door. And during school board meetings, business meetings, open forum is an opportunity to address the board on a topic not on the agenda. Up to 5 speakers shall be provided, a maximum of 3 minutes, and we have 4 speakers tonight, so we should be in great shape. Speakers will not be allowed to verbally attack, disparage, or potentially defame individual board members, employees, or students, nor may speakers use vulgar or profane language, and speakers may be precluded from disclosing personally identifiable private data regarding students and or employees. All right, so this evening, I am excited to say I think we have some of our younger community members here to present to us. And the first person up this evening will be Julia Birch, and she will be speaking about class sizes at Jeffers Pond. And Julia, if you're willing to share, are you a student at Jeffers Pond? Great.
Yes, I am.
Welcome. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. Dear Prior Lake Savage Area School Board. Thank you. My name is Julia Birch. I'm 10 years old in 4th grade. It's almost the end of this school year. Next year I'm going into 5th grade, and me and tons of peers will be stuck in a 30-plus student classroom like this year. My 3 main reasons that this will be bad for student education are that the teachers always get interrupted. It will probably be the same in 5th grade. It's too noisy to work in a big classroom, and the teachers can't bond with the students as well, and they might not get to everyone. 5th grade is a very big year for us. When in middle school, we will be switching classrooms every period. 5th grade gets us ready for that big impact. In the 4th grade class that I'm in, most of my classmates yell out things during our work, and they are just not productive. Sometimes my teacher has to rush because they waste time. In 5th grade, it'll be like this for the 5th grade teachers. It's also very noisy in my class. Sometimes I don't want to go to school because of how noisy and loud everyone is. We once got yelled at by a teacher because of all the noise we were making. If you make the teachers teach a 30-plus student classroom in 5th grade, I think they should be paid way more. Every single student matters, and in 5th grade, I don't think that the teachers are going to spend quality time with their students and get to know them so they can work better. If you don't listen to the teachers, every single student matters, and in 5th grade, I don't think that the teachers are going to spend quality time with their students and get to know them so they can work better together. If you don't, the teachers might not get a good bond with their students, and they might not want to listen to them. I'm asking you to please make sure there are 4 classrooms of 5th grade next year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Julia. All right, very good. Next up is Caitlin Birch, who is also addressing class sizes at Jeffers Pond.
John, shut those doors.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you. Hello, Prior Lake Savage Area School Board. My name is Caitlin Birch. I'm a 4th grader. I'm in 4th grade in Miss Crasher's class at Jeffers Pond. I'm aware that next year we are going to be put in 30-plus student classes. This is unacceptable. If I wasn't in a 30 plus student class, I'd probably be like, yeah, that's fine. But I know what it's like. It is loud. When you have 30 plus students in a class, it gets loud. So loud that sometimes I can't hear my teacher. It's also hard to concentrate when it's so loud. What makes this so loud is that students yell, "Be quiet," or "shh," which does not help and makes it even louder. Sometimes I don't want to go to school because of how loud it is. It's also hard for my teacher to quiet us down because there are so many students. When she expects us to be quiet so she can get her stuff done, I think she spends more time yelling at us than getting her stuff done. Or if you give us these large classes next year, it will be hard to learn. Us fourth graders are going into fifth grade next year. This is the year where we learn all the stuff we need to know before middle school. And if you put us in 30 plus student classes, we might not learn everything we need to. Putting us in these large classes makes me feel like you don't care about our education. I am important. My classmates are important. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. All right. Next up, I have Gisela Dager. Did I say that correctly?
I think that's for the Wolfridge presentation.
Oh, okay. And is that the same for Patrick O'Rourke? Very good. So if they can wait, we will wait for the Wolfridge item on the agenda tonight. Okay, thank you so much. It's good to have you here. Okay, at this point, I will ask the board for someone to make a motion for the approval of the agenda as listed in your packet.
So made.
By Jonathan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Amy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That carries 7-0. Next up is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests, in which case the item would be removed as a consent agenda item and addressed. So under our consent agenda tonight, we have our financials, which include the check wire transfer disbursement summary, the wire transfer, EFT, and ACH banking activity, the bank reconciliation statement for March 2022, the monthly wire detail, the monthly health and dental wire detail, the monthly check detail, the monthly ACH detail, and the COVID quarterly update. We also have the approval of the school board minutes for April 11th, April 18th, April 25th special meeting, and April 25th study session, April 27th, April 29th, and May 2nd. And we have personnel items. Under there, we have candidates for employment as listed, resignations, terminations, and non-renewals as listed in your packet. District retirements as listed, and I'd just like to take a moment to call them out. We have Julie Sink, our Executive Director of Business Services, retiring after 12 years of service to our district. Sandra Moore, Technology Secretary at DSC after 15 years of service. Trina Olson, Licensed Parent Educator at Edgewood, 24 years of service. And Karen Zwolensky, Building Principal at Hamilton Ridge Elementary, 6 years of service. We thank all of them for their extraordinary service in serving all the students and families in our district. Also included under personnel is leaves of absence as listed in your packet. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed?
So made.
By Stacy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. That carries 7-0. Thank you very much. There is no listing of a resolution for acceptance of gifts tonight, so we will go on next to our Laker Pride Special Recognition and Laker Showcase.
Thank you very much. Good evening, board members, and it is so fun to have a full crowd, especially with so many students here this evening. We got a chance to kick off our board meeting tonight with the voices of students, and I'm so happy that they feel empowered and they know that their voices matter and what they have to say matters. In the same regard, I'm here tonight to thank and recognize Bella Drews, who is our student council president at the high school, and she also serves as our representative, student representative to the school board. Over the years, Bella's voice, her insight, her ideas, her counsel have been very valuable to me. I always know that I can, and I don't call her, I text her. I always know that I can text her if there's some insight I need or something that I know that she'll be able to share and help me with as we make decisions. Being a student representative to the school board is a big deal. And it takes a lot of energy to not only help lead the high school, but then to serve in this capacity in service to all of our students, all of our staff, and our families. So Bella, I want to thank you for this year. I want to thank you for the years that I've known you, because even before you were on this board, you were sharing your insights, and I was always welcome to hear them. So we wish you well. Thank you for everything you've done. You've been an amazing addition to our school district and to this board. And if you'd like to say a few words, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Stallo, for those kind words. I would like to say a big thank you to everyone on the board. Not only have you welcomed me with open arms, but each of you has taught me something I don't think I could learn from any other experience. And that's not just about how to run a school board and how a school board works, but that's about how to be a leader, how to consider all the possible stakeholders when making decisions. You guys care so much about students, and that shows through how intentional you are with your decision making, with listening to students. Open forum, I mean, tonight we heard 2 different students speak, and I know student voices are not going unnoticed on our school board. I would like to thank my father, who is on the school board with me. I obviously, prior to going into this, had a little bit of an idea of what is school board, but because he is on the school board, but he has made an extra effort this year to just keep me involved, keep me in the loop, and open that door to student communication. And so I just want to say thank you all for that. You've really taught me more than I ever would have thought I would have learned from sitting in a few hour-long meetings every month. Yeah. Next year, I'll be attending Loyola University in Chicago for political science, and the things I've learned from this board, from all of you individually, will not be forgotten. I'll take them with me for the rest of my life, and I'll never forget all of you, and I'm sure I'll see you soon, but yeah, it's very bittersweet to say goodbye.
We'll miss you.
Well, thank you, Bella. You have made a difference here, and it is going to be fun to continue to watch your journey in life, because you're going to continue to positively impact the lives of people that you touch, just like you have here. Thank you. Continue the theme of celebration, I have with me this evening Lori Parker, who is our early learning special education coordinator, and she is going to be sharing some inaugural awards that we are really excited to present this evening. So with that, Lori, thank you so much, and I'll let you share some context and ultimately the award winners.
All right. Thank you for letting me speak, and I'm so excited to share this award. Our Special Ed Advisory Council this year decided to recognize staff and students who are demonstrating belonging and inclusion in our schools. And several of our students are here today, and if they want to come on up, that would be great. And I'll start talking a little bit about what the award is and why we're celebrating that. As I said, this was our Special Ed Advisory Council that decided that we wanted to do this. This award is really about recognition of going above and beyond for inclusivity, being supportive and responsive for the best interest of our students, families, and staff, encouraging accommodations and acceptance by helping those feel safe, supported, and loved in our schools. So thank you for being here. As you can see, we had over 119 nominations and from different staff members and parents, which was pretty exciting for it being our first year in doing this. We recognized people across different categories, our students, which we wanted to recognize here in front of you, some special education teachers, some paraprofessionals, gen ed teachers, related service providers, and we had another category to encompass some of the other support that we have in our schools. We had a bus driver who was recognized, a district office employee, and so I put their names up here so you can take a minute to see that. It was so fun for all of us to go into classrooms to present these awards. It was very unexpected for most who were receiving this, and it was fun to recognize some of the good things that people are doing to include all in our schools. Here's a few pictures from last week. We decided to do that during Teacher Appreciation Week to add to the celebration and joy. And now I'd like to read the students' names of who was, I'll go back, who are recognized. We have, I'm not going to yell at everyone. Starla Quilt, Athena Negriff. I'm sorry, I don't quite know everyone. I work in early childhood, so I'm not as familiar with all the students. So if I call your name, please let me know, okay? Braden Thompson. Cody Lyons, Connor Richards, Dylan Tushy, Dylan Moyers, Ethan Glenn,
Sorry, it just clicked with me right now.
That's okay. You still get the award.
It's a lot.
Gavin Brenning, James Logan, Jet Leckler, John Graham, Kennedy Merton, Thomas Malmberg, Trig Schrader, Tristan Pauna, and Yafet Tesfaye. Thank you so much. If any of you would like to say anything, you're welcome to. Thank you for being so supportive of all kids.
All right, do we have a taker?
First of all, I'd like to thank all of my teachers, especially at Bridges. They've made a huge impact on my school life, and I've grown so much since starting there, and I really appreciate getting this. I'm very thankful for it. I'd also like to thank my mother, because she is one of the reasons that I strive so hard to become a person that is very inclusive of everyone. She's always shown me that everyone deserves fair treatment regardless of their background. And
I would just like to say thank you to my parents, and I want to say thank you to all my teachers at PLHS. And I really appreciate getting this. I really love including everyone, and I mean, it's nice to be reminded that people notice it. But I also would like to have other kids in this world who are able to just do that without having to get an award. And so I just really wanted to thank everyone for this, and yeah.
I'd like to say thank you to my parents for always teaching me just to respect everybody, no matter who they are, because you don't know what they're going through in the day, but just shows just to be nice to them, because that could change their day. And just always just respect people, because I just don't think there's any reason not to, just to try to put a smile on someone's faces.
Congratulations, everybody. And special thanks to Lori Parker and Enrique and members of the Special Ed Committee for stepping forward. And did I hear correctly, will this be an annual? All right, great.
Get more nominations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all the students for all you do every day. All right, next up, we have some personnel items, and Executive Director of Administrative Services, Jim Quirm, will come forward. And is it already there?
I'll just get out of here as long as I'm up here. Couple of personnel items. First off, I know I sent you an email today about this, but one of the things that, although it's not in our process now to bring every revision or job description to the board, these are two job descriptions that, based upon some of the audit requirements, it would be prudent and appropriate for us to have this approved, these changes approved by the board, and so I'm bringing those forward for your approval.
Okay, can we approve them together, Jim, or do you need
Yep.
them separately? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the two job descriptions as provided by Jim Quirm?
So made.
By Mary. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Enrique. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. That carries 7-0. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
And the second one is the approval of the new PLSAS administrators. And so, Gus, is Kate here too? You want to come up here, please? There are three on the list. Sam Frederickson, who would be replacing Karen Zwolinski at Hamilton Ridge. She's unable to make it tonight. But we have the two assistant principals at the high school, the new assistant principals that will be starting on July 1st at the high school, Gus Abdallah and Kate Eggerman. And is our, we allow you a couple of minutes to give your elevator introduction. Not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot, yeah. So if either one of you would like to just.
Who isn't excited to talk at a school board meeting unannounced? My name is Gus Abdallah. I'm currently a dean of students at Shakopee High School. I've been in education about 7 years. Very excited to join the team here at Prior Lake. I understand the wave of change is coming, and I'm excited to join in and continue to help support students and find success. So thanks for considering my employment here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kate Eggerman. I'm currently a student management specialist at Osseo Senior High. I've been in education for 10 years. I was a teacher for 9. I taught music and coordinated the AVID program. And I'm really excited to start my journey here in Prior Lake. I've been nothing but warmly welcomed, and I'm really excited to get to know everybody. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add something. It's great to see both of you here tonight. And Sam does send his regards. He's going to try to make it for the June meeting. It just didn't work this evening, but we're really delighted to welcome Gus and Kate. I do want to also acknowledge, I think I said this previously during the process, but in all the years that I have hired school administrators, this has been the absolute strongest pool that I've seen. So it excites me, first of all, that we have absolutely top quality candidates who wanted to be here, and we selected some absolutely excellent administrators that we're really excited about. So congratulations to you, and thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Jim, do we need a vote on that?
With that, I bring,
I want to see the vote. I gotta let my wife know.
I recommend approval.
Do I have a motion to accept the new administrative positions as listed and presented this evening?
So made.
By Enrique, second. Second. By Amy. All in favor say aye. Aye.
I suppose.
Opposed say nay. That carries 7-0. We are so happy to have you. Welcome to Prior Lake Savage Area School. Sam is up next with the American Indian Education Parent Advisory Committee and the written statement.
Good evening. Today I would like to introduce Ms. Anita Tapio. She is the current chair of our American Indian Parent Advisory Committee. Last month we presented the vote of non-concurrence by our American Indian Parent Advisory Committee. This is a program that we are continue to work on and hoping to approve. We've made some great strides, but there are definitely areas where we could improve on, and Ms. Tapio will come here to let us know why the vote was of non-concurrence.
Very good. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing me today. So, sorry, I'm a little short. So we have three main reasons that we decided to go with non-concurrence. The first one was non-reporting of the funds. We asked for reporting, detailed reporting of the funds, and it wasn't really provided to us. So that was one of the top reasons. Another was there was no traditional teachings or any activities for our children this year. And those are very important to us, that we continue to do those teachings and those classes are allowed. We know that in the Shakopee district, they're doing a lot, and that the south of the border powwow is going on, and the other districts surrounding us are doing a lot of those teachings, and they're missing in the Prior Lake district. So that was another one of our reasons for voting non-concurrence, especially with Shakopee being very close and directive next door to us. It's, you know, it's not acceptable. And then the third reason was we had some of our students form NASC, Native American Student Coalition, and just because they weren't feeling supported with all of, you know, there was no activities for them, so they weren't feeling really supported by the liaison and the coordinator that we were having. So they started their own coalition, and one of the things is they have to have a teacher sign off for them to have a club, and there was no help or support with that. They were looking for that, and we couldn't find one for them. I'm not really sure if Sam did find one for them. I know Sam was very diligently looking for them, so that was another one of our reasons. So those were the three top reasons that we decided to go non-concurrent.
Okay. Thank you for being here, for calling those things to our attention. We will get together and discuss and work with Sam, and we will provide a response to the group.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the appointment of the superintendent of Prior Lake Savage Area Schools. And at this time, the board is requested to approve the appointment of Dr. Michael Thomas for the position of superintendent of schools. I will also at this time be asking for direction for the certified committee and the executive director of administrative services to continue working on the employment contract with Dr. Thomas. So could I have a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Michael Thomas as our next superintendent?
So made.
By Mary, second by Stacy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. That carries 7-0. Thank you, and we're looking forward to working with Dr. Thomas. Next up, we have Wolfridge at Home with Dr. Dan Edwards and Sandy Timmerman. Looking forward to this.
As Sandy and Dan, and I believe some students and staff make their way to the podium, I just want to give a thank you to folks who took the lemons of the pandemic and made some lemonade. There were so many things lost during the pandemic and opportunities that our students were unable to have. And this crew, representing a whole lot of other folks across the district, made some incredible things happen and allowed our students to continue learning in really great ways. So, Sandy, you have been a champion of Wolf Ridge for years. And you were now a champion of Wolf Ridge at Home. And while it wasn't the exact same, you helped to provide some really great experiences with our teachers and our staff for this, so thank you.
So before I turn it over to our team here, I just want to remind the board that I did send a communication back in late March confirming with all of you that we do intend to move forward, barring the results of COVID. Hopefully, we are moving through and moving out and ready to move toward a sense of, dare I say, normalcy. But as Dr. Stalo pointed out, we had some great work done this past year, or still this current year, engaged in. I actually have a few sessions yet to come. And we have a team of folks here just to share a little bit about that experience. And Sandy is going to give a little historical context as well.
Good evening, Dr. Stalo and board members. Again, I'm Sandy Timmerman. I'm your district 5th grade ELC coordinator. I didn't leave that position. So I just want to take a few minutes tonight and talk to you a little bit about what we've done during the pandemic. Much of what we have done is because of the relationship we've had to Wolfridge for the past 40-plus years, that partnership to them. This year, if you don't know, Wolfridge is celebrating their 50th anniversary. And so when you think about that, Prior Lake Savage Area Schools has been with them since almost their beginning in 1976-ish area. So they are we partnered with them several times, and for those of you that have been around, they've done staff development here. They come down to do teacher trainings on our EE and outdoor learning. When the pandemic hit, they came down to help us with what we can do with our students. And so we've been through a lot with them. And through this partnership, we were able to work with them through the pandemic. And last year, my first ask was, how can you bring Wolfridge to us this year? And we knew we couldn't leave, and they were concerned about leaving. And so we came up with a virtual experience. And so they adapted. We had virtual meetings online in each of the classrooms about 4 times a year. They took our science curriculum and made it fit to what we're teaching our 5th grade teachers. So it wasn't something extra, but it was something that our students would be learning. They also online had activities for teachers and students to use. I know our teachers used them so that when they were learning at home, they could be doing some of the outdoor learning. This year, I had a little bigger ask. I came to them and said, will you take your show on the road and come down to Prior Lake? And they said yes. And they put together a program for their environmental outdoor learning, and they spent 1 week at McCall Pond. Dr. Stalo, you came and joined us one of those days, and our students were there. Each school got to spend 1 day with them. It wasn't a full week, but they got to see what Wolfridge was all about. It's my understanding we are the only school district that they work with that they did this with. And I can tell you that due to the cost, the traveling, the supplies, they're not thinking it's something they want to do in the future. After our environmental days at McCall Pond, we chose to then meet as a 5th grade team with Dan and decide what are those other big themes that are at Wolfridge that we want to continue. And so some of the big themes that we came up with was cultural history. And so our students have spent time at the Landing. Coming up next week, they're going to be going to the Hokakatati Cultural Center for the Mdewakanton Sioux. Our Loyola Del Lago students have already been there. For team building, they went to the base camp at Fort Snelling. And for personal growth, again, they did base camp for their rock climbing, and they just got done doing Kerfoot, an adventure ropes course down in Henderson, Minnesota. Now, I'm going to tell you, all these experiences have been positive. I've been getting positive feedback, but they don't compare to Wolfridge. The teachers will tell you, as separate experiences, they were great, but they were just experiences. They don't bring the same immersive environmental learning as you would get in a week living at Wolfridge in community. We look forward to going back to Wolfridge and continuing our tradition and history, hopefully with the pandemic agreeing with us next year. So tonight I brought with me some 5th grade students and their teachers to share some of their experiences so you can hear what they experienced from this at-home experience.
Hi, I'm Colton. I'm here to talk about the Kerfoot. One of the things I really liked was you had different options of what you wanted to do. You could do really easy, harder, and then really hard. And then also, if you didn't want to, like if you didn't feel like you were ready to do it, you didn't have to actually do it. And then I think my favorite part was at the end when you got to free fall off the edge of the course.
Hi,
I'm Mason Medvec, and I am here to speak to you about our base camp experience. Base camp is our rock climbing and archery field trip. A highlight would be rock climbing because it's a good challenge. The unique thing about rock climbing is it really challenges yourself to try hard and make it to the top. I made it to the top of the wall 3 times, and it felt so good to be out there. I yelled, "I'm the king of the world." In conclusion, base camp was a fun field trip.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Veda, and I went to the landing. And the landing was mainly about the Minnesota history, and at the landing we got to learn about how syrup was made, and we got to try some, and we found out how they lived back then, and we built many houses.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lincoln.
Hi, my name is Andre.
We're here from McCall Pond. Things we learned. Bird watching. We went to the bird watching area by the bird feeders. We had to be extremely quiet to listen and watch for birds. We were given binoculars to look closely at the birds for details. Some of the birds that we observed were geese, cardinals, robins, finches, eagles, woodpeckers, and an owl.
Plant drawings. We were directed to a specific area to find a plant. We were given about 5 minutes to draw the plant in a Jeffers journal. You had to include labels and the tiny details. We found a partner and we had to try and find their plant based on their drawing.
Fun facts. Birch trees. Before Advil and pain relievers were made, people would chew on bark from birch trees to relieve pain. We saw a beaver dam and beaver chews. We played a raptor game to understand raptor and mice population.
Nest making. We played a nest making activity. We were in groups and given a certain amount of time to gather our nest making materials from the field. We had to work together with our classmates and use the materials to make a strong, well-made bird's nest. That was a tough activity.
Wolfwood strap. They're the best.
They like to laugh.
They are caring.
They were observant about what we needed.
Very smart.
They made us curious about nature.
Great storytellers.
And they let one of the teams keep their classroom tree, Dan the Man.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Veronica Ransom. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Lola del Lago. And even as a teacher going to Woodbridge, it was such an awesome experience. But I'm going to let you hear from our wonderful students.
Hi, I'm Gisela Daher, and when we went to Hokokalati, it was a very fun experience to go to because we got to learn about the Dakotan history and their culture.
Hi, my name is Autumn Bernance, and my favorite part of the trip was seeing a realistic video of our world of when the Dakotans lived on our land and how they made it better. I also loved how to learn and speak their language, like how they pronounce Minnesota in Dakotan, which is Minnesota.
Hi, my name is Patrick O'Rourke. My favorite memory of Hokokalati is learning about how the tribes played, contribute, and communicated with each other.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting us take time tonight to share what we've been doing. It is no Wolfridge, but I think that, like you said, we made lemonade out of the lemons we had this year.
Thank you. Thank you to all the staff and the students and Wolfridge for your creative problem solving and thinking to make a memorable year. And here's to next year. Okay, next up we have our summer offerings report. Melissa, you're doing it tonight.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
Right, so this is just really an overview of all of the things happening this summer in the district to keep learning going. I will start with our extended school year program and recovery services. So this is based on the IEP team in special education reviewing students' needs and students meeting that criteria based on the either regression, recoupment, self-sufficiency, and unique need. And the purpose is to provide those services, like I said, based on their unique IEP needs around their goals and objectives. So those services will be provided June 13th through June 30th. Eligible students, we've got approximately 32 at the K-5 and 16 at the 6-12. And then as far as recovery services, numbers are still getting generated for elementary, but high school and middle school about 17. All of those services are provided by licensed teachers. There's also paraprofessional support and specialized transportation available during that time. And those programs will be at Hamilton Ridge, Red Tail Ridge, and Prior Lake High School. As far as high school options for summer learning, any student in grades 9 through 12 will have 2 options for credit recovery and ongoing credit independent study. Those options begin mid to late June, depending on what the student is choosing, how the student is choosing to recover those credits. Registration is already opened. Last summer, they served approximately 400 students through those programs. For our students in K through 5, well, actually K through 8, rising into first through 8th grade, we do have targeted services. However, with the advantage of having some ESSER recovery funds, we've been able to expand those services this summer. So we're adding some additional programs and supports at different times in the year to make sure we are can meet as many needs as possible. We are still using a targeted services criteria referral process to do that, just to make sure we're really targeting those students with the greatest need. Those programs are intended to be highly engaging learning experiences for kids, lots of hands-on, also addressing not only the academic but the social emotional needs and supporting those continuation of school readiness skills that we want kids to continue to grow into. And during those programs, we typically do have smaller class sizes, so we're really targeting students' needs. For elementary this year, we have a program called Ready, Set, Kindergarten that is just for incoming kindergartners. We've developed this program in partnership with our school readiness program. So we have identified some incoming kindergartners who would benefit from some additional support for 2 weeks prior to entering school. So that's our Ready, Set, Kindergarten program. Then we have our Ready 1, 2, 3 program, which is for rising first, second, and third graders. And that program is intended to be at the beginning of the summer. We also have, as part of that program, 2 family nights. So families and their children will be equipped with a summer kit, toolkit, and then they'll have ongoing communication throughout the summer, so they're going to get a foundation of some academic activities as well as some social emotional supports, so we maintain readiness for school into the fall. And then the other program that we're doing is for rising first through 5th graders, and that's our Lit Camp program. That's an SEL literacy-based program, and that's 4 weeks, and it's very camp themed and lots of hands-on and social emotional fun. There's even some singing. So we'll be continuing that program in July through August. And then we're partnering with Kids Company so that students who are enrolled in Kids Company will still have access to our summer programs. And this year, with our recovery funds, we're able to provide transportation, which eliminates a huge barrier for a lot of our students. I just looked at enrollments. We have about 300 students, enrolled for summer programs at our elementary right now as of Friday. So we will be offering those programs at 5 Hawks and Glendale this year. Middle school is for rising 6th through 8th graders, so it gives those incoming 5th graders a chance to get a little orientation to the middle school before they start. That program is running July 11th through August 5th. They have 2 sessions, so students can enroll in one or both sessions. Their first session this year is based on work by Joe Beckman. So it's very social emotional. It's called Look Up. And then it's all about teens and helping them understand how their adolescent brains work. And then the second one is a PBL unit on our marketplace and food trucks. So it's very interdisciplinary. It includes geography, math, foods, all kinds of things. So kids basically learn how to run their own business. So again, team building with a lot of attention on meeting those social emotional needs of our learners. And then a whole host of community education summer program opportunities. So tons of camps. I think there are 34 different camps listed in our catalog currently. At the pre-K level alone, elementary 190 camps, La Ola offering some programming for their incoming students, and then for grades 6 through 12, 33 different camp offerings. And I believe that isn't even including the things available through summer band and swim lessons and driver's ed and individual music lessons. And we have 5 new nature-based camps for kids at different grade levels. So lots of things for kids to do to stay engaged in both socially and academically throughout the summer. We also have adult programs listed in our catalog and ABE citizenship classes. So all things going on during the summer, and then our kids company school care program will be running. They will actually be at 4 locations: Five Hawks, Glendale, Red Tail Ridge, and La Ola del Lago. So we've included Hamilton Ridge and La Ola del Lago in our bus routes for our summer academy programs, so that students at those sites also can participate. So we'll keep them busy. Lots of opportunity.
It will be a busy and exciting summer. I know this is a report only, but are there any questions for Melissa? All right, thank you so much. That was a great presentation.
I just want to mention, as Melissa's closing, she's obviously a lot of collaboration with a lot of other programming and staff in order to figure out what those needs are and then make sure that we were able to fill those. So I know community education, your staff, special education, student services staff, operations for sure. So thanks to all who have collaborated to make these opportunities possible.
Great, thank you. Dr. Edwards is back to present the district calendar.
Yes, in your packet, you just see a repeat of the district calendar. There aren't significant changes, but we did want to call your attention to the fact that something that's been kind of evolving over the last couple of years, pre-COVID and into COVID and coming out of COVID, structures around back to school. You know, traditionally we had that back to school night, which was typically across the district on the Wednesday, usually, of workshop week before. We're differentiating that approach a little bit. That will be still the case at the middle school level, but the elementary level has transitioned to embedding that in the assessment days. And so teacher work days are extended to accommodate that. And then at the high school level, if you recall back to when we adopted the calendar, I think it was December, we had made some shifts also at the middle and the high school with the first day of school for 6th grade only and 9th grade only. So that time that previously was put through back to school at the high school level is going to be spread out throughout the year. Once per quarter, an additional time for teachers to connect with students approximately 3 weeks prior to the end of a term to make sure that parents are aware of where their student stands and concentrate their efforts on students and families that might need a little more support to finish the quarter strongly. So just wanted to make you aware that, so in the calendar that you see, it didn't impact student days at all.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you very much. Next, we have our approval of issuance of the 2022-20.
Hang on 1 second. We need to approve that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you
Yeah.
for catching me.
I was gonna
We
say
do
it.
need to approve this. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to accept the calendar as presented?
So made.
By Stacy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Enrique. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. That carries 7-0. Thank you to my Sharp board members. All right, next we go to the approval of the issuance of 2022-23 purchase orders with Executive Director of Business Services, Julie Sink.
Good evening. This is something that we do every year at this time of year. We're asking the board, before they approve the budget, to approve the buildings to issue purchase orders. Just as a reminder, when they issue those, nothing can be delivered or bills can't be sent to us until after July 1st. But it's just ability for them to get their orders in. And we know when there's shortages is a good time to do that, so.
Great.
Just asking for approval for that before the budget is approved.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the issuance of the 2022-23 purchase orders?
So made.
By Mary. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Enrique. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have a proclamation for School Nurses Day 2022. And I am going to ask Amy Crosby, our vice chair, to read that proclamation.
Whereas students are the future, and by investing in them today, we are ensuring our world for tomorrow. And whereas families deserve to feel confident that their children will be cared for when they are at school. And whereas all students have a right to have their physical and mental health needs safely met while in the school setting. And whereas students today face more complex and life-threatening health problems requiring care in school. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has emphasized the essential role school nurses play in student health and academic success. And whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and ensuring students' academic success for more than 100 years. And whereas school nurses address the home and community factors that impact students' health. And whereas school nurses act as a liaison to the school community, families, and healthcare providers on behalf of children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes for our nation's children. And whereas school nurses support the health and educational success of children and youth by providing access to care when children's cognitive development is at its peak. And whereas school nurses are member of school-based teams to address the school population. And whereas school nurses understand the link between health and learning, are in a position to make a positive difference for children every day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Prior Lake Savage Area School District celebrates and acknowledges the accomplishments of school nurses and their efforts of meeting the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of health care in our schools, and offers gratitude for the school nurses who contribute to our local communities by helping students stay healthy in school and ready to learn, and keeping parents and guardians at work, not just on this National School Nurse Day, but at every opportunity throughout the year.
Thank you, and deep gratitude to all of our nurses. We have got next a School Communicators Day resolution, and Director Crosby will read that as well.
Whereas transparent and effective communication about Prior Lake Savage Area Schools programs, services, plans, decisions, and priorities to students, family, staff, and community stakeholders are critically important. And whereas school communicators work tirelessly to ensure meaningful parental and community involvement through communication to build support for schools and the children they serve. And whereas school communicators commit to practicing communications, public relations in an ethical and comprehensive way that meets the needs and desires of all internal and external publics. And whereas school communicators serve as a strategic partner to school boards and to district and school leaders to develop communication plans that support their missions and goals. And whereas school communicators serve the critical function of an information liaison between a school district and its community, representing the district in various community organizations. And whereas school communicators work to amplify the branding and key messages of a school district to new and existing audience, now therefore be it resolved that the Prior Lake Savage Area Schools Board of Education proclaims the second Friday in May to be School Communicators Day.
Thank you. Oh, yay, some clapping in the back. Hooray. Yes, I think maybe you could speak to this, but the last few years have probably been some of the most critical and taxing for our school communicators, and they have risen to the challenge over and over again. So thank you very much. And then finally, I have a proclamation that was brought forward to us by the Optimists. It is a proclamation for Youth Appreciation Week. Whereas the vast majority of youth are concerned, knowledgeable, and contributing partners within our community, and whereas the accomplishments and achievements of these young citizens deserve the recognition and praise of the community, and whereas Optimist International has since 1954 developed and promoted a program entitled Youth Appreciation Week, and whereas the citizens of Prior Lake Savage Area School District have indicated a desire to join the Optimists in expressing appreciation and approval of the contributions of youth, The District 719 Board of Education does hereby proclaim the second week of May as Youth Appreciation Week in the district. By this action, let it be known that we have faith in the ability of today's youth as they assume responsible roles in the future of humankind. Now therefore, I, Michael Nelson, Chairperson of Prior Lake Savage Area School Board of Education, hereby proclaim the second week of May 2022 as Youth Appreciation Week in the Prior Lake Savage Area School District. Thank you, Optimists, for celebrating our youth, and youth, thank you for your leadership. It's a bright future. I would also like to let my fellow board directors know that the Optimists are inviting board members to attend the Youth Appreciation Luncheon to honor these young people on Wednesday, May 11th from 11:30 to 1 at Fong's Event Center. If you do plan to attend, please let Martha know by 9 a.m. tomorrow so arrangements can be made. Thank you. All right. Next up is policy. The first two policies, 509.1, kindergarten early entrance, and policy 513, curriculum acceleration, were presented at the last study session. Are there any questions or concerns about those policies that we want to revisit?
Well, I sent in a whole bunch of questions, and I
Dr. Edwards is going to address those.
Yeah, let me just provide just a little additional context and possibly a repeat of previous context at the study session.
And this is for the kindergarten?
The kindergarten, yes, for the kindergarten 509.1 early entrance policy. Once again, the recommended edits and changes are aligned with our intention to ensure that we have the right students identified. If there are family members or families out there that are looking to have their student enroll in kindergarten early. And the two significant or major changes, not without much thought, was taking a look at the guideline and timeline specifically, and the limitations that a previous policy had placed around that, where we had that window of September 2nd to October 15th. We are proposing to remove that window of time, and we are also proposing an adjustment to the IQ score, raising it from 121 to 130 to once again identify the student who this would be the right place to accelerate and move into early entrance to kindergarten, regardless of age, if they meet the other criterias associated with, as are listed there in subpart A2. So we definitely feel that these are the right edits to make to once again make sure that we are identifying the right students for that opportunity.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns?
should I just meet separately with them I sent a whole page of comments and concerns.
With Dr. Edwards too?
Well, I actually sent them in to Melissa, so.
Yeah, we certainly, if that's the will, we certainly can follow up with additional concerns, but we do feel like we did take a look at what neighboring districts or other districts have done around this, and we certainly found the deadline be something, the time frame, window of time, to be something that a number of districts, including ours, had in place. But we felt, and by the way, we did, I think this was mentioned the last time, we did bring this to our Gifted and Talented Program Review Committee and did look at that with them in our previous meetings, and it was based upon that group's feedback that this policy had some revisions to it as well.
Thank you. Jonathan?
Can you remind me, I think Melissa mentioned this last study session, but this typical year, we have how many families requesting?
5 to 6, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And of those families, how many would you want to step up for a moment and say, how many would we typically have approved or would have acted upon that approval should they be approved?
I'm trying to, maybe 2 would meet those requirements following after we had done all of the steps of the procedure. Yep. And sometimes parents might inquire about it, and then through conversation, we're really transparent about what the expectation can be and what students will most benefit from acceleration as an early start kindergartner. It's really about making sure we have the right match to meet the students' needs both socially, emotionally, and cognitively.
Okay. Mary, do you want to ask your other questions, or?
Well, again, I sent in a whole page. So just let me ask a question, the qualifying. When you had that many students in the previous year, were those people asking for early admission after October 15th? Because that was the cutoff last year.
I would have to go back and look at individual cases in order to know if those dates were significant in those individuals' processes.
Again, I sent in some concerns, and I did do some research on this, and I did talk to other districts, and I know that the move across the state, particularly in the Southwest Metro, is to move to, and that was not the case in the last couple of years. This has been a move, particularly in the past year, and I even noticed that some of the school districts actually just changed this year, and so knowing many families who are affected by it and actually did choose not to come here because of that. Before, I am kind of questioning a few things about it and the move at the state level and the reasons behind it. And again, a lot of the reasons were all over the place, actually, but I do know that there's a lot of emphasis on making sure that the districts are in sync with each other if they make these moves. So we're starting to see them all go at the same time, including ours. But I do raise some questions about the IQ score, and I raised the questions about the number of families who actually have their kids in, let's say, pre-K programs, et cetera, together. And then, the family that has a child born a couple weeks later or something like that, then has to go through the additional scrutiny, because the initial dates were across the state, October 15th through October 31st, because that was always considered to be within the range of having that. As long as they went through the social emotional assessment, fine, then an additional IQ test was not necessary. In addition, the IQ test of 130 is extraordinarily high for even 5-year-olds, which isn't necessarily, according to just about everything that I looked up, wasn't exactly an easy thing to assess for kids 5 and younger at the IQ test. So I have questioned the purpose for it, the need, and then also, more importantly, if we do accept kids or students that are exceptional and younger, do we have the means to support that? Because we don't really have a gifted program for kindergarten until we really get to SAGE. And so if we do accept children that are considered at the top 2 to 5% in the IQ range, will we have the means to keep them occupied, to keep them challenged while the teachers are dealing with other kids of average IQ and the appropriate age?
So I believe, and I don't know if you're going to answer all those questions right now. I know that we'll need direction from the board because this is the first read. We had it last night or last week. Mary did send those comments to Melissa, and I believe that Dan forwarded those to all board members, just like is our protocol, that all board members were to see those. I think there were a couple questions in there, but mostly the concern piece around it. So board will need some direction from you. We have a recommendation in front of you, and we'll just need to know how to move forward with that. If those are concerns as a whole board, if those need to be answered, or what we need to do in order to move the policy forward.
Could I just ask a clarifying, simple question? And this is an oversimplification, but what we're doing is we're removing some of the restrictions or parameters that we had, and in conjunction and consultation with the Gifted and Talented program, who thought it was a good idea to reconsider that, we've opened that window of possibility for kids who might be ready for kindergarten prior to the typical age or deadline that we would do. It impacts a small number of students, correct? And in terms of the IQ question, I would think that in order for them to be along average kids or not, that just demonstrates academically they're ready to step in, not just socially and emotionally. Is that an oversimplification? We're not talking a large number of students. We're just removing arbitrary deadlines and looking at student-focused decisions.
That's a perfect summary, yeah.
I'm comfortable with that. I'd like to know what the rest of the board would like to do.
I'm comfortable with it moving forward as is.
I mean, and we will be seeing it a couple.
We will
months.
see it a
Yeah,
few more
We will
times.
see it a couple more times,
Yep,
so there is time, I
still time for you
suppose,
to go in if you would like to.
I think if you'd like to address it personally, I think we could do that. I'm, the only little thing that I'm curious about, and I don't know how much, I don't know if you track this so that you could even find it, but I would be curious to know of the families the past few years who requested it or initiated the conversation and then decided to wait for that year. I'd just be curious to see how many of them, if we know how many of them ultimately we did get their student the following year. Or if we are actually losing because of how that's done. That would be a curiosity for me. And again, I don't know if you have that data or if you can track it. But that would, to me, that would address part of the issue that I think we're concerned about, is making sure we're providing what our students need.
It's also the fact that, you know, to hold the child back that's actually, you know, going to turn 5 by October 31st or something like that means that usually the parents have to have the means to pay for, let's say, another year of daycare or similar. And quite frankly, what a lot of them find out is that cost of a private school is less expensive than the full-time daycare.
Certainly
And
could be.
so, yeah, and so I know from personal experience that a lot of people don't even come in and ask. They see the policy and they just choose someplace else. And I think we need, that's almost impossible to statistically evaluate because you're not going to chase after people you never knew existed. That's impossible. But I think the other concerning thing that I wrote in my letter was the reason why the dates were moved up. I heard everything from the impact of COVID to the stress on kindergarten teachers to have kids that were not emotionally ready, but were of that age or close to it. And they're more likely to be that way regardless of how the assessment turns out, if they're 5 earlier than later. So there's a lot of different variables that went into that. And so I put those concerns in writing after the policy was first introduced. And I do kind of look at this as we didn't really decrease barriers. We just put more guidelines around it. It's no longer this floating time to October 15th that the child turns 5. It's strictly the beginning of the school year. And then every child supposedly, I believe, has to go through a pre-kindergarten assessment.
This is different, though.
This is different.
But I thought they all had to do some sort of assessment.
There's a kindergarten readiness thing
Right, the
that's
kindergarten
free.
readiness
Yeah.
that's free, that they should go through, or that's the assessment days, right? And also of the
Well,
pre-assessment.
no, that's
different than
actually,
assessment days.
no,
Before they
it's like when you're
enroll.
3 years old, right?
So an early childhood screening, yes. So
Yep.
they would, you can take that any time between age 3. And actually, if a student comes to us without having had that early childhood screening, then typically our early childhood program will
what
find
I'm
those
hearing.
students and do that screening.
So they have
That's
to
a-
have that no matter what.
No, yeah, we try to do that anyway. So that's different than the process that's outlined here.
And the ones that you're talking about, like right before school starts, those are just,
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I just wanted to, so we have the assessment days, but no matter what, from what my recollection is and from what all the rules have been consistently, is that all children have to go through some sort of early child assessment or early child screening. And so that happens no matter what, no matter what age they are. And that's been the same no matter what. Now, the one thing we're adding on to this now is if they're not going to be 5 by the first day of school, then they also have to have an IQ test.
that's always been like that. It's,
But if they're not
In the
going to
policy.
turn 5 by the first day of school, not by October 15th, but by the first day of school.
Right, by September 1st, if they're not 5, then they do this other assessment that's guided in the policy, which includes the IQ test.
Right. Let's have these guys confirm that.
Sorry.
Is that okay? I would like to have them confirm.
Yeah, that's true, I could be wrong.
The date was October 15th, and now it's the first day of school for that.
It was between September 2nd and October 15th.
If they were going to be 5 within that window, then they
Then
could
they-
pursue early entrance. We're saying now
You can be
that you can be,
any age, right? I mean, I just want to, I'm going to ask this, if my child is December 1st, turns 5.
they
Yes.
I
can
can
now
do this now.
do
So
early
there's,
entrance.
they couldn't.
it's more
They couldn't.
open.
It's more
correct?
open,
We've
correct.
opened it up for a greater age range,
Okay,
yes.
I just want to make sure that's what I'm.
So then we're less likely to lose the students that you're referring to that would go somewhere else.
Except for it's a higher IQ.
It's a higher
Right.
IQ and from personal experiences, whether from experience from people that I know right now, actually that didn't happen. So that's what I'm trying, that's what I want to vet out. That's what I want to actually go through scenarios with and make sure that we're understanding the pros and cons and the history and everything like that, especially before we add the IQ and especially before we move the date from October 15th back up.
Was the IQ recommended by Gifted and Talented
Yes.
consultation? So that, I believe, brings some credibility to that.
And if you were to, say, make a comparison to our Sage Academy, the base IQ there is a 129. So to have a 121, your 2 standard deviations, below, you're not within what would be considered a gifted range, and this allows for students to access kindergarten early as a means of acceleration, which is one of the best ways to meet students' needs who are gifted.
But there's another issue there is that even the latest Stanford study says IQ test for kids 6 and below is not
So
usually
we have
very
a suite
accurate.
of assessments available to us in our procedure that would allow us multiple options, including the Kaufman, which is a culturally and linguistically responsive assessment. So IQ is in this, for lack of better, it's kind of an umbrella term for any psychological assessment that is used to determine a student's readiness.
Do other board directors, I just want to give them a chance, Mary, do other board directors have comments or questions at this point that you'd like to have heard at the table?
Mary kind of covers my concern with the IQ portion.
Okay.
I don't have any additional questions.
Did we look at neighboring districts on the IQ?
Yes, most of our neighbors have similar range.
Some of that just got started, though. It wasn't that way a few years ago. And that's also my concern is what we're moving to and the reasons why. And I would still like to have a separate conversation to kind of vet this out.
I think that would be great to have that
So
conversation.
I want to be sure that we have direction. So Mary's going to have a separate conversation. And how is that,
I think the policy comes back to us 2 more times before we vote on it, so I think
It does. At this point, do we have general direction that we're comfortable with policy as is? Mary will pursue those questions, Enrique, if he also wants to. And if there's an issue that needs to be revisited next time it comes forward at a study session, we could do it at that point.
I think
So we can get to the next.
I'm very
discussion.
comfortable with that.
Okay.
I think that's why we have this extended process with
Yep.
our policy review.
That's why they do it. Can I just look around the table? Is that general consensus that we're okay moving forward with that plan?
Yeah, I'm okay moving moving it forward to its 3rd read.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your patience and your
Yep.
details. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, there are no second readings of policies this evening, and we do have 3 policies coming forward for a vote of approval this evening. Policy 407.5, exposure to hazardous substances. Policy 409, employee publications, instructional materials, inventions and creations. And policy 620, credit for learning. We have had these brought forward and discussed several times. At this point, I would entertain a motion to approve all 3 policies unless somebody wants to pull one out specially.
So made?
So made by Director Amy Crosby.
Second.
Second by Jonathan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries 7-0. Okay. Next up, we have our superintendent report.
excellent, thank you. Good evening. At Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, our mission is to educate all learners. to reach their full potential as contributing and productive members of our ever-changing global community. And tonight I'd like to highlight some of the work in which we've been engaged to achieve this. First of all, I think as we heard this evening, the talent and the articulate voices of our students are so amazing, and it's always this time of the year that we have so many concerts that we get a chance to hear those talents. We have a whole lot of activities in athletics, especially as we've got some warmer weather coming up, as well as lots of award ceremonies. So just so much great things that are happening in our schools, and I want to recognize all the students and the adults who support them in doing things that they love and being able to perform in those ways. On Thursday, I want to share a little information about Community Coffee and Conversations. On Thursday, May 19th, we'll continue that monthly Coffee and Conversation event, which is an opportunity to discuss race and equity in our communities. This month's event is sponsored by PLAY, the Prior Lake Savage Hockey Association, the Prior Lake Soccer Club, and the Prior Lake Wrestling Club. They will be teaming up to kick off an anti-bullying campaign within the youth sport organizations in Prior Lake Savage area schools. The night will be focused on discussing how to combat bullying and other acts of intolerance while creating inclusive environments within our sports organizations where students feel welcome, safe, and encouraged to develop as strong teammates, athletes, and contributing individuals to our society. All student athletes in grades 5 through 11, as well as parents, are welcome to attend. So we're really looking forward to a true community event on that evening. Again, that's Thursday, May 19th. Some other great news, Child Nutrition Services, in partnership with Glendale Elementary, received funding from the statewide Health Improvement Partnership through Scott County Public Health to pilot an indoor tower garden project next year. Glendale students will be using a growing system to produce a variety of lettuces, greens, and herbs that the Child Nutrition Services staff will serve at lunch. This is a wonderful collaboration and, again, demonstration of some of our STEM experiential learning in our schools. And I also want to recognize and acknowledge the retirement celebration that is coming up. We look forward to the upcoming district retirement celebration on Thursday, May 19th. From 3:30 to 5 o'clock, and that'll be again for the second time in the Activity Center at Prior Lake High School. The event is co-sponsored with the Prior Lake Savage Education Association, and I want to congratulate the following district retirees: Margaret Atwood, Michael Ottenreith, Julie Christensen, Julie Sink, Roberta Harper, Jana Hindelago, Linda Knutson, Dan Marquette, Sandy Moore, Trina Olson, Renee Orton, Diane Sales, Andrea Swanson, Rosalie Swartzky, Leanne Rywak, Tracy White, Lisa Wolf, and Karen Zulinski. We appreciate the many years of service that these individuals have provided to our students, our colleagues, our families, and our community as a whole. And we wish them all well in their retirement and thank them for having a positive impact on our school district. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question? Sorry. Dr.
Yes.
Stott, where is the coffee, what
The
building?
Coffee and Conversations is, Sam, you're reminding me on Thursday. At Prior Lake High School, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
So it'll be perfect. You can go right from the retirement celebration, and I think does the Coffee and Conversation start at 6? So a bit of a break. You'll have a chance to run home, have a bit of a break, and then come back.
Have a pizza delivered.
Yeah.
Excellent idea. Jonathan is taking care of that.
Yes. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Do we have any administrative reports this evening? No? Okay, board reports. Let's start with Director Belladrews.
Hello. So we have lots of things going on at the high school. Obviously, it's May. Seniors are getting ready to go, getting ready to say goodbye to high school. I would say a lot of us are in that mindset at this point in the year. It's very bittersweet, but we are all very excited. Student Council is putting on a number of different events this spring, but I kind of just want to focus on one tonight. So the one that I'm going to focus on is our annual Surf and Turf event. But this year we have put quite a quite a big twist on it. So Avery Faubel, who spoke at an earlier meeting in my place, is the one who's kind of coordinating everything. And she has kind of made it for lack of a better term, a huge event. So she is coordinating with quite a few different clubs and organizations at our school. So the Muslim Student Association, the Asian Student Association, BSU, the whole list of them, LGBTQ, NASC, and also we always have a partnership with the National Art Honor Society for this event as well. And in addition to the normal movie on the turf, food trucks, we're also adding a carnival portion. And so all of those different clubs and organizations are going to have some sort of like carnival themed activity, just to kind of like let our student body get to know these other clubs, and kind of just like connect the bridge. And we're very excited to be connecting with that. We are still deciding on what movie we will be playing, but this event is open to anyone in the district. So it is on May 27th. Yes, May 27th at, I want to say 6 p.m., but it will be posted in multiple locations, so don't quote me on that time off the top of my head. I don't recall if it's 5 or 6. But yeah, we'll have lots going on. We also have some different Prior Lake High School student bands that are going to play. If anyone was at the farmers market this weekend, you may have seen the Court Gestures. They will be there again. And that's a group of primarily seniors, and I think a few juniors mixed in there. Yeah, and we're very excited to kind of bring all our different student groups together for one night at the end of the school year, just to kind of have a good last hurrah. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. I've heard the Court Jesters several times, and I would go back again, but I'm assuming you don't want old people like us at Surf and Turf.
We really do. We are trying to kind of get it to be an event where we can have anyone, whether it's parents,
So we could
school
stroll
board
through.
members, superintendents. Yeah, so everyone is welcome to attend this event.
Thank you very
They're
much.
trying to keep it inclusive, so even us old folk.
Us old folks.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you to your team for all the hard work going into helping it grow and be more inclusive. Other board reports this evening? Go ahead, Stacy.
I think myself, Dr. Stallo, and Michael attended the AMSD on Friday morning, and super interesting. Couple topics, TRA, and the pension funds, the health of the pension funds, what's being done legislatively, looking at, rates of return, what they're talking about, just funding in the future. Really interesting conversation for those of us that kind of like that kind of stuff. Some people don't. So, but I thought it was very interesting. And then the other piece, which was, if you read the paper today, talked about on the front page of the paper, was data privacy, student data privacy. There's been some, in the last few years, a number of, attempts at trying to do, something around student privacy. This seems to be the year that something will get passed. And there was a gentleman from Osseo, their IT director, I think, who has done a lot of, going to the state and testifying. And there was a good article in today's paper that kind of outlines it, but basically, there is a lot coming forward as far as student privacy, sharing of data, and there's going to be some limits around it, and also taking into effect, also the workload, I think, from the IT and what schools need to do, but also balancing it really with student safety and the sharing of information, and really clamping down on the software companies really is a lot of it. So I think it's really good legislation. It sounds like it has backing from both sides. So it does sound like this is something that they want to enact for this fall, I think. So that was very interesting to listen to. So two good things, two speakers.
Other board reports. Thank you for sharing that. I'll just add that the Equity and Excellence Committee also met. It was our last one, I think, of the academic year. And Sam Oak has been leading us through the last few meetings, taking the board resolution, committing to equity and inclusion, breaking it down into sections, and then working with our community members and staff members to talk about action items and how they might align themselves to those different parts of our resolution. For those of you who remember when we passed that resolution, it was really important that we clarified that it was a strong statement and it was a governance statement. It was not a list of action items because that comes from Dr. Stallo and her staff. And so it was really engaging and interesting to hear these different viewpoints and talk about what has already been done and where that fits in the resolution, what else could be done, and to just really turn it into a practical document that I believe you're going to be sharing with some of the leaders in the district. So, great, thank you. Okay, if there are
Actually, there's one more thing, and I don't know who else was able to watch it virtually today.
Oh,
We
yes.
didn't travel to the Capitol, but the LAI directors and I did get a chance to watch the press conference today. It was a joint press conference held at the Capitol by multiple organizations collaborating together, from parent groups to AMSD to principal organizations, superintendent at Albert Lee, teacher from administrator from Dover Yoda, Joe Gothard from St. Paul all spoke in support of legislators using the surplus or 9% of the surplus to eliminate the cross-subsidy for the special education cross-subsidies. So it was a collective effort, and, you know, hopefully, I'm sure many legislators are getting messages after that, but a very organized means of saying this is something that would help all districts, whether they're in the metro or across the state, regardless of the size of your district. It would be something that would truly benefit all school districts. So it's a huge event today.
And you probably all saw in your email too links to reaching out, providing your advocacy to our legislators and even community members to let our legislators know that we need that cross-subsidy covered for the good of our students going forward. So,
thank you.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Future events, we have a board study session on May 23rd at 6 p.m. There is no school for grades E through 12 on May 30th, 2022 in honor of Memorial Day. The last day of school is June 9th, 2022, and commencement is June 10th, 2022. She's supposed to be excited when I say that.
I think the forecast is 78 degrees and no winds.
No,
Yeah,
a few
I think
clouds
that-
just where the sun
I
hits.
think that's the
It's going to be perfect. Thank you. All right, at this time, I would take a motion to adjourn because we will be going into closed session in accordance with the open meeting law, Minnesota Statute 13D.03, for the purpose of discussing negotiation strategy. Do I have a motion to adjourn this part of the meeting?
So made.
By Stacy, second by Enrique. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries 7-0. Yes.
I don't think
Take a brief break if